Good morning and welcome to Cawfeetawk. How many of us have ever said something to a friend in conversation, and then afterwards we realize what we said or maybe how it sounded, and we think, oh, that's not what I meant, or that probably didn't come out right, or I hope that didn't embarrass her. Me. Oftentimes when we are giving our opinions, we're passionate, and sometimes in passion we speak before we think the thought through. So, maybe you've said something like, I'll use an example, like, oh, well, remember when you were pregnant, you were so big. Like, remember how big you are? Well, blah, 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 and then you finish the conversation, the night goes on, or, you leave the party, whatever it was, and you think, oh, I hope I didn't make her feel bad. That's not what I was trying to do. Sometimes we say things that we have no malicious intent whatsoever. There's nothing negative behind what we are saying, but we leave people with hurt feelings. To that I say, if you are feeling like you said something that may have hurt somebody, even if you didn't mean it, you have two choices. You can stew about it and wonder if they think you're a big jerk, and call every friend you have and go, oh, so I said blankety blank to so-and-so last night. Think she hates me? Think I'm a big jerk? Or you can simply reach out to the person and say, last night when we were talking about X, I said Y, and realize now that it may have been hurtful. If it was, I am truly sorry. Done. If it is weighing on your heart, there is probably a reason. A lot of times I have done this to people, woke up in the morning and thought, oh, what did I say? But I let it go because I thought, oh, well, I'm not going to bring it up again because that's, last thing she wants to hear is me bring up again how big she was when she was pregnant or whatever the case may be. But I have stopped doing that, and I have started reaching out with a quick phone call. Hey, it was so good to see you last night. I just want to say that I woke up this morning feeling bad about saying X, and I just want you to know I'm sorry. Done. Oftentimes they're like, oh, dude, don't even worry about it. I was big, or whatever the case may be. But still, if you can get something off your heart, get it off. Because Lord knows our hearts are carrying around enough. So if you have the opportunity to get something off your heart, get it off. I wanted to tell you something else. The other night I made a video with Charlie. She was in her room, and it was our first night home from Disney. And I asked her if she was happy to be home. I don't know if some of you saw this video. Some of you may not have seen it. You can go back and watch it. And she said yes. And she ran up to the camera and she said, I think she said, my walls or the walls were crying for me. And I held it together on camera, and I wasn't going to say anything, but I have to. When I was a little girl, my grandparents would drive from New York into Jersey and spend the weekend with us. And when my grandparents were there, like most people with their grandparents, it was, my mom was never a player. My grandparents were players. They played games with us. They laughed. They cooked. Most of the memories I have, especially those like big Italian memories of, tables full of food and laughter and loud music and all of that, came from my grandparents coming to my house. And whenever my grandparents would leave to go back to New York, we would all cry. All four of us, we would stand around my grandparents and cry and ask, why did they have to leave? And my grandmother would always say, because my walls are crying for me. When you're a little girl, you believe that. she would say, I have to go back to my apartment in New York. The walls are crying for me. I heard this for years growing up. And when Charlie said that, first of all, you know my grandmother died in November. Charlie only met my grandmother twice. Certainly wouldn't know that she said anything like that. Never heard her say anything like that. I don't say anything like that. I'm not, I don't pretend to have any answers about the afterlife. I don't pretend to know how and when they come to us or give us signs that they're with us. But I can tell you that hearing my 4-year-old tell me that the walls were crying for her, I mean, it is such a, don't you think it's such like a specific thing to say about why you're happy to be home? She didn't say, I'm happy to see my house, or I'm happy to see my night-night, or whatever. She said, the walls were crying for me. This is what my grandmother said my whole life. I called my mom last night. I said, Ma, I don't know if you saw Charlie's video, but you got to hear what she said. What'd she say? I asked her if she was happy to be home, and she said the walls were crying for her. And my mom was like, oh my God. I mean, it is such a, it's one of those moments where if you have any doubts about whether those that we have loved and then lost can make their way back somehow, don't. Because there is no way that my 4-year-old little girl, it is not a coincidence. 4-year-olds don't say things like that. I don't care how bright Charlie is. That is a very specific thing to say. I believe wholeheartedly she was meant to say it, I was meant to hear it, and I'm sharing it now with you. Look for signs. They're all around us. And thank God, because oftentimes the people that we have lost are the ones we so desperately need to hear from. And when it happens, it is like, I have a poem about death. I rarely do I find anything that brings me any real comfort, and I'm going to share it with you guys later. Max has his eye surgery today at 10 o'clock, so I'll keep you posted. Anyway, I love you today. Have a great day.